how to lose weight and keep it off, right? So the point of this whole presentation is just to give you guys some insight on if you're trying to lose weight, if that's something you've been working on, if this is your first step, really wherever you are in the process, I want this to be as helpful for you as possible. So what we're going to basically be doing in this little presentation here is covering kind of 4 major concepts that I think are pretty quintessential to any fitness journey. But I feel like in the way that I'm framing them, they're a little bit more neglected than they should be. And so the first kind of thing that we're going to go over is diving deep on a why. So diving deep on your fundamental motivation. What's really driving you to pursue these goals, to get where you want to be? And then how can you leverage that why to be something that allows you to stay there, right? To lose the weight, but then to continue to be healthy, to continue to kind of maintain those results rather than just lose them. That's what ends up happening a lot of the times. People kind of yo-yo. So the second thing is recognizing that there's really only one factor that is quintessential in any weight loss program, and everything else is really up to you. It tends to be pretty daunting when people look at weight loss as this mountain in front of them. But the truth is that you can climb that mountain however you want. There's really only one thing that you have to stick with, and it has to be consistent. This training is going to help you create a definite plan. I think a lot of these kinds of webinars, with these quote unquote fitness gurus, right? They're setting you up with the what and the why, but they don't always hook you up with the how. And so what I want to do is I want you guys to walk away feeling like, okay, I have something that I can follow. I have something that's going to work. Finally, I want to give you guys some, I want to help you find a long-term support system. Accountability is super, super important. And so if you have that support structure, be it a community, be it an accountability partner, that kind of stuff is absolutely quintessential. So by the end of this training, you're going to have an understanding of what it takes to really build your powerful mindset. And if you're able to apply these things that I'm teaching you, I'm willing to bet that you'll make more progress in the next 30 days than you might have made otherwise, maybe have ever made at all. Next, like I said, I want to give you some actual tools, some stuff that you can really use that works. And finally, give you access to my community and see if I can offer you that structure that will really help you long term. Let's see, my little thingy's in the way. So this is just to offer, again, actual resources. We're not talking Happy Meal toys that break in days. This is stuff that you can really use long term. And I'm recording this and I give you guys the handout so that hopefully you can use this for as long as it would be applicable to you, potentially infinite time. So just to make you feel as though you are in the right place, this is for you if you're just getting started. This is for you if you've been working on this stuff, but you feel like you haven't been making the progress you want to see. And maybe you've hit a plateau and you just want that extra oomph. This is for you. So if you're here to make a personal strategy, if you find that would be helpful, this is definitely going to be helpful. And finally, if you understand that this stuff does take effort and it's not just, I haven't mastered my skills as a wizard yet. And so there are no words that I can say to snap my fingers and get you to where you want to be. But if you understand that this is a long game, this stuff is actually going to be very, very helpful for you. So there you go. So a little bit about who I am. So I'm Zach. I am the owner and the founder of veganstrongfit.com, where I, help people reach their fitness goals on a vegan diet and a vegan lifestyle. So here's some credibility stuff. That is my back. That is me on a paddleboard. And that is me trying to smile. I don't know how to smile, so we're working on it. But so I am, like I said, I am a fitness coach, and I have a certification in personal training, certification in nutrition, because that stuff matters to some people, and have coached many, many vegans reach their fitness goals, whether that be build muscle, lose fat, or train for competitions. I help a lot of people prepare for competitions. So without further ado, first things first is the mindset stuff. So where it all originates is what I say, right? Our most consistent thoughts, feelings, and actions are dictated by us and our mindset, right? Our reality is shaped by it. What I say here is just that your mind is really the catalyst for everything, right? Your mind is really the catalyst for your reality. And so what we're trying to do with this stuff fundamentally is, while we are talking about diet, while we are talking about actual exercise and these things that we go out and do, it starts within our own head, right? It starts within our own mind. It starts with the way that we think, the way that we feel, and then ultimately the way that we act. Let's see. So next thing, these are what I like to call kind of the components of a powerful mind. First things first, whenever we are going towards a goal, what we want to be doing is living in the end, right? We want to condition ourselves to think as if, or think as though we are in this state that we want to be in. So rather than saying, you know, I'm Zach and here I am in my room and where I want to be is on the top of this mountain, so to speak, I think as though I am on the top of the mountain, and then it's much easier to act from that place. And that's what we call living in the end. So recognizing next that this is a long-term shift. I think a lot of the time in fitness, whenever we want to reach these goals, we have this idea that, you know, I just want to reach X. If I just reached X, I would be so happy. And what we don't remember is to reach X, you have to maintain that, right? You don't just want to reach that and then lose it all. You want that to stick. And so what we're doing is recognizing that these are long-term shifts. And when we can make these long-term habit changes, it's going to be a whole lot more effective than if we were just to do some kind of quote unquote fad diet or some kind of strategy that's just going to get us there to where we want to go, but it's not going to maintain it. I think one of the most disheartening things that a person can experience is doing all that work, you know, putting in all that effort, getting that end, getting that thing they wanted, but then losing it. That is so disheartening. And so if I can help you guys to kind of build that structure where that doesn't happen, I consider that a huge win. Finally, being vigilant that at any and all times, right, we have a subconscious mind that is open for business, is open to receive any kind of input that we put into it. And so good things, bad things, sad things, happy things, you know, very positive things, very negative things. Our subconscious mind is soaking it right up, calling it truth and saying, that's the way it is. Sounds great. Now, it's the job of our conscious mind to be the filter for those things, right? So it's the job of our conscious mind to say, you know, especially when you first get started in any kind of pursuing any kind of goal, right? Whether you are going to school to get some kind of major degree, whether you're on a fitness journey to build a ton of muscle or lose a lot of fat, whether you are trying to start a business, whatever it is, you're going to find that as you start to pursue those goals, there's going to be a lot of very disempowering information that enters your space that's trying to convince you that you're not cut out for this, that this is not something that you're going to be able to do. Give me 1 second. I'm wondering if somebody else joined. Not even sure how to do that. Whatever. So it's really our imperative to make sure that we are filtering that information out and not just taking any and all information as the way it is. We want to make sure that we're saying, you know, as that disempowering information enters our space, it's up to us to say, is that something that I want to do? You know, is that something that I want to just take as fact, or is that something that I need to analyze and, you know, maybe be a little bit more critical of? So what I'm giving you here are two major action steps. And what we're going to do is we are going to pop in to the activity here. Done. And we are going to go to the first action step. And so what I'm going to have you guys do is create a hard goal for the next 30, 60, or 90 days. And when I say hard goal, I mean concrete goal, not hard. You know, if you want it to be super difficult, that's fine. But the general outline should be that it is realistic for you, something that you believe that you can do, maybe a little bit challenging. And so, but it should be metric overall. It should be something that's very measurable that you can really look at and say, yep, I did this. And so I'm going to give you guys a couple examples here. You know, I'm exercising every single day until I have May 17th. Obviously you can't go back in time. So perhaps a day that's right, 30, 60 or 90 days ahead of time, away from now. And so saying I've exercised every single day by that time, very, very measurable goal. You've either done it or you haven't. There's a million ways to measure that, but that should be kind of a good outline. Saying I've lost 30 pounds in that time, another very measurable goal. You know, you either done it or you haven't done it. Saying I've eaten 100% whole foods diet by that time, done it, haven't done it. Again, there's a million ways to measure this, but that's what we're going to start with. And we're going to kind of get a little bit deeper with that as we go on. what you're going to do is write your goal in the present tense, right? You've done it. It's I am. I am. It's not I will. It's not I might. It's I am or I have. That assumes this is something that I've done or this is something that I am doing. Making things present kind of eliminates that ambiguity of it's away from me. It's something I'm reaching for. Instead, it's something that I have. It's something that is in my environment that I have achieved. You'll also notice that I'm adding things like easily, joyfully, right? These are emotion words. These are words that kind of add that oomph, that add that positive energy, that really make it something that is something that you can appreciate a little bit more. That's really, really powerful. And then what you'll notice, right? You'll notice that I'm asking you to read this twice a day. Use that emotion, read it with emotion, read it as if it's happened. When you prep your day with that energy, that's a great way to step in kind of into that identity that we talked about. That is your future self. So that's the first step. If you guys, if you guys want to comment what your goals are or something like that, you can go ahead and do that just to kind of solidify it. Maybe some ideas and I can follow up on them. So that's step one. The second step in this little section that we have here is creating a routine out of this, right? So here I mention, read it twice daily. What I'm asking you to do here is really to give you some, real accountability to make that, much more concrete, much more approachable. And what I'm asking you to do here is just schedule it in. So the first kind of step here is open up your calendar. You don't have to do this right now, but I'm laying it out as obvious as possible. I probably didn't need to put all three of these steps because they all are kind of just one step, but very straightforward. What I want you to do, open up your calendar. So maybe you use Google Calendar, maybe you use Trello, whatever you use. Open up your phone calendar and dial in when you want your morning routine to be, right? So what I do with my clients is we have a very in-depth morning routine that really puts them into that space of high energy, taking on the day with the best possible vibration. And this is the first step always to read out those goals. You can add whatever else works for you. Maybe that's a little bit of exercise. Maybe that's some journaling. Maybe it's a nice tall glass of lemon water. But this is really that first step, right? To read out, hey, this is the version of myself that I want to be. I'm reading it as though it's me right now. And that's how I'm taking this day on. Because my vision, it might be a little bit far away, but it almost doesn't matter what my day brings me in between, the beginning of the day and the end of the day, because I know what my vision is. I know where I'm going long term. So what we're doing is, my example here is maybe I want to wake up at, maybe my wake up time is typically 7 a.m. What I'm going to do is set that block, 7 a.m. until 8 a.m. Maybe it's only that 10 minutes. Maybe you just want to read your affirmation and go for a stroll, and then boom, the day begins. But set that calendar block and make sure that calendar block is scheduled for every single day. So for me, my morning routine is I have a pretty long morning routine, I'll be honest. My morning routine is about an hour and a half. So from 7 to about 8:30, that's what I'm doing. I have that block scheduled so that I know I have this every single day, that I'm putting myself into that energy state. So that's what I want you guys to do. Go through and do this. And maybe this is a call to action if you don't use a calendar right now. That great thing to have. So let's pop back. Oh, I'm showing you all my private information here. Just kidding. Doesn't matter. Nothing that important. So those two steps, right? Use that formula. I also highly recommend watching the video. Really interesting video. And then schedule it every single day. When we schedule things, when we plan things, we plan to succeed. If you don't plan to succeed, you plan to fail. So on to the next one. This is a big truth bomb, right? This is something that a lot of coaches don't want to tell you because it kind of makes a lot of their products irrelevant, frankly. But that truth bomb is pretty much caloric deficit. That's all it is. I mean, weight loss comes down to caloric deficit. You have to be in caloric deficit. And so I know that might sound a little bit scary, but what I want it to kind of sound like is hopeful, that people will market you all of these ways that you need to do things, right? That, you have to do all of this different stuff. You have to follow the keto plan. you have to follow, you know, the whole foods plant-based plan, high interval intensity train or high intensity interval training, all this different stuff that people say this is the secret. This isn't a secret. This is just a truth that you know, caloric deficit is the only thing that is necessary in your plan. Well, let me go back real quick. Well, now this is fine. You should incorporate elements of diet, further elements of diet, exercise, and stress reduction in, because those are what's going to make it a lot more approachable and more personalized. But the thing that I'm getting at here is you can make your plan, you know, personalized for you, right? There's a million and one ways to do this. There's a million and one ways to make things your own plan. You don't have to follow somebody else's plan, you know, because it should be personalized. It should be something that works for you. I guess I can give you some examples here. I don't think this is the most important thing in the world, but an ugly plan would be an ugly or a bad plan might be something like, I had a friend once who lost 56 pounds only eating salt for about 30 days. Yeah. Nothing else but salt and water. That's a horrible way to go about things, right? Painful, uncomfortable, and probably not even very healthy. You know, weight loss does not have to be healthy. It should. It very much should be, but it doesn't have to be healthy. So now a good plan, on the other hand, is a plan that incorporates elements of all of these three things, right? Good, healthy diet habits, decent, healthy exercise habits, and a good, healthy stress reduction habits. Let's see what's the next step. I just want to, again, reiterate the factor that these can be done however you really want them to be done. So the action step, and again, we're going to pop back in here, is I want you to write out a plan that you would be willing to follow. So a very simple plan that would be things that you would be willing to do. What I don't want people to do in general in life is be following these plans that scare them. You know, something that they look at the plan and they're like, oh my gosh, that seems like so much. That just seems like a ton of work. I don't think I could do that. I want you to have a plan in place that is something that you look at and you say, you know what, not only am I sure that this would work for me, but I know that this is something that I could do every single day, you know, week in, month out, you know, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. I want this to be something that I could sustain. And that's what it should be. You know, one of the main points that I want to say to you guys is that sustainability is the biggest factor, right? Whatever you can do to do things for the long term, right? To keep things consistent, that is what's going to be the winner, because one person might follow a super extreme diet, like my friend, for example, that gets them crazy results in a month. But what are the odds that he's going to be able to just eat salt for the rest of his life? No, not at all. He's probably going to perish, frankly, you know, blow away in the wind. And that's not what you want. You want something that's really going to work for you long term. You want something that's going to be enjoyable, right? You want to enjoy the food that you're eating. 80% of our serotonin is made in our gut. We want to enjoy it. Exercise, fitness should be fun. Fitness should not be something that you have to struggle, you know, drag yourself to the gym and do, you know, 30 minutes of, you know, grueling cardio and all this stuff. It should be something that you really enjoy. Eventually, fitness should be therapeutic for you. And so what I'm asking you guys to do here is very, very simply write out a little plan of, you know, here's what I would be willing to do. Again, it should include elements of these three things of fitness, diet, and stress management. I give you a little example plan here. So every week I will plan my meals on Sunday evening. I will dedicate 2 hours every Sunday at 6 p.m. to meal prep. I'm not going to eat any processed foods. I will exercise for 20 minutes every morning. And I'll set an alarm 1 hour before my bedtime to ensure that I get quality sleep. So we have the stress management aspect of making sure I get quality sleep. Fitness aspect, I'm exercising for 20 minutes every morning. And then the diet aspect, I'm meal planning and I'm trying to cut out the processed foods. So the next thing that I wish there was a hotkey. There's got to be a hotkey for present, whatever. So the next thing that I'm going to be asking you to do is dive a little bit deeper, right? There are, like I said, there's three components. There's the mindset component, the diet component, and the fitness component. I shouldn't have even gone back. I can go right back here. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is go a little bit deeper on this thing, right? So you'll notice that with those three components, there are three components within each of those. So the what, the when, and the how. The how is, I framed this a little bit weird, so I might screw this up a little bit, but bear with me. So with the diet stuff, right? The what is the meal prepping. The what is the meal prepping and frankly, the cutting of the processed foods. The when, I'm dedicating 2 hours every Sunday night at 6 p.m. to make my food. And then the how is, so this is what I want you to consider a little bit, right? This didn't go deep enough. This is the rough draft, but the how of the meal prepping is, I'm doing it every Sunday night, but there's a lot more that goes into diet, right? There's so much more. There's, when do you buy your food? What are you actually buying? How is the food that you're eating conducive to your goals, right? What's the calorie intake that you need to follow? So what I'm asking you to do in this section is go as deep as you possibly can. I mean, go absolutely crazy. Try to answer every single aspect of anything that you would have a question on. So let's go deep on this together, right? So I'm meal prepping every Sunday night for 2 hours. That's great. But what am I actually meal prepping? So what are the recipes that I need to have? The first step to any of this stuff is, what goals do I need to, what metrics do I need to hit, right? So maybe, for me, for example, I'm about 190 pounds. I'm always trying to gain muscle. And so maybe for me, my caloric intake needs to be 3,300 or 4,000, something much higher. And so I need to know what that is in order to know what my caloric intake is. I'm going to throw something in the chat for you guys real quick here. If I can figure it out. Oh my gosh. It's almost like I don't know how to use this. Oh, here we go. Nope, I can't do it. I'll put this in afterwards. What it is basically just a diet planning software. Everybody's probably heard of this, MyFitnessPal. And so what MyFitnessPal will allow you to do is just that. It'll allow you to put in your gender, your age, your current weight, where it is that you'd like your weight to be. And then it will tell you, based on kind of what your regular fitness activity is, how many meals a day that you want to eat. It will tell you kind of what your caloric intake needs to be, and then, how many calories per meal that you should be eating. The other great thing about MyFitnessPal is you can track exactly what you're eating, and you can punch that in. It will tell you, okay, here's how many more calories you have for the day. And so it's a very, very good resource. Highly recommend you use that. I do not want anything to do with that. And so that's what I'm asking you to do. I mean, just go as deep as you possibly can with the what, the when, the where, the why, the how of everything. So with fitness, maybe that's, I'm willing to, do 20 minutes of yoga every day. Okay. Where are you going to get that? Where are you going to get those yoga routines? When exactly are you going to do that 20 minutes of yoga? What materials might I need? Maybe I need a yoga mat. Maybe I need to clear some space in my bedroom. You see what I'm getting at? The more that we can really flesh this plan out, the more likely we are not to skimp on things, right? The more likely we really are to follow through. The beginning stage, if we can eliminate as many objections in our own mind as we possibly can, we're far more likely to stay consistent. So all this is just helping you overcome your own hurdles, right? Becoming the mastermind of your own plan, the mastermind of your own success. Let me just, okay, good. Yeah, so that's what that is. And again, one of the things that I'm going to offer you guys is kind of a strategy session where after you go through, I highly recommend you go through and do all this stuff first, but I'm happy to go through this stuff with each of you guys personally to make sure that you feel 100% on this stuff, because I know, again, the more objections that you can kind of get rid of at the beginning, the much more likely it's going to be to, long-term, you're going to find success. So, finally, last thing is accountability, right? So I think that by having a structure of support around you, I mean, that stuff is imperative, right? That's going to be one of the biggest factors in determining your long-term success. So I don't really need to dive into this too deep. I'm sure you guys understand 100% that having a community, right? Having accountability partners, having a coach, that stuff is invaluable, right? Because our minds are only so willing to support us for the long term, right? We're going to have these things that come up in our life, external circumstances. We have bad mental health days sometimes that just are like, you know what? Oh, I've had a draining day at work. I've had a draining day on all of these infinite work Zoom calls, and I'm just not feeling it. I just want to crash on the couch. I just want to surf through my phone. But the reality is that consistency really is key. And the more that we can get over those humps, those slumps, the more likely we are going to be to find success. And so what I'm telling you here is just that you're both your own best friend and your worst enemy. And frankly, sometimes both of those people don't want you to go to the gym, right? And so if you can have those external motivators that say, hey, Zach, you got to do this, man. You said that you had this goal. It sounds like today you're trying to skimp yourself. Like, rather than hitting the gym, you want to order a pizza and drink some beer, and that's okay now and then, but we want to stick to our goals first. We want to use those things maybe as rewards rather than just cop-outs. So 2 things that I'm going to offer you guys today is, first and foremost, I have a free Facebook group, which is this, right? It's that accountability. It's that community, just to have some people that are also pursuing this stuff that you can say, hey guys, I have a question about this, or hey guys, I'm not feeling super motivated. What do you guys do to stay motivated? And sometimes just reading those comments, stuff is really, really powerful. Maybe you'll connect with somebody in there that you really jive with, and you're like, you know what, I want to talk to this person more. And you start to message that person, and you end up forming a friendship, and boom, you have an accountability partner. And then next, like I said, you guys are welcome to a session with me. Same kind of thing. What I would highly suggest is that you guys go through this form, right? Really get as much in here as you possibly can. Really make this as personal for you as possible. And then bring this to me, right? And what we can do is go through it together. Maybe with your goal, there's just some like, where was it? Yeah, maybe with your goal, there's just like some slight tweaking that I can offer you to say, hey, this could even be slightly more powerful if you worded it this way or that way or something like that. Going in here, going in here and analyzing what your strategy is and saying, okay, well, does this seem realistic to you? And asking you those questions that it might be a little bit more challenging to ask yourself. And then beyond that, I have a ton of different resources that, we might be talking in it. And I'm like, you know what, I think you could really use this resource that I can then give to you, just to kind of help keep you on track. But those are my offers, right? Those 2 little things that I think could be really, really helpful for you guys. So overall, that's it. Those are 4 things that are, really, really helpful. Here are the links that you guys can use. This is just a link to my calendar. You can use that at any time. Don't schedule like 900 sessions, because I do have other things to do sometimes, but happy to give you guys an hour of my time. That's totally cool with me. And then you guys all have me on Facebook or Twitter or wherever. And so, yeah, get in touch, use me as a resource. I want to be here for you guys. I want to help you guys get to that point that you want to get to. So without further ado, do you guys have any questions for me? Let's see if I can unmute everybody. Yeah. Boom. It's very slow, but that's okay. Yeah. Any questions at this point from any of you guys?
About the stress, the managing stress.
Good. Oh yeah.
How do you have any suggestions about how to do that?
Yeah, sure. So just as a little bit of background, stress and weight gain are like super tied, and that depends on your body type. For me, I'm on the other side of the spectrum. It's stress and weight loss are my personal problem, but everybody's different, right? And so making sure that you have strategies to really manage your stress effectively, first and foremost, that's what's going to keep you consistent, right? Because the more stressed out we are, the more likely we are to kind of fall out of that consistency. And then, hormones are just very much affected by stress. And so our bodies are much more likely to put on that weight as that survival mechanism. Hey, I'm in a stressed out situation. I'm in a tough situation. I need to store all this extra nutrients. As far as actual strategies, that is very, very much up to you, right? That's very, very much up to what is it that, you know, you do on a regular basis that is helping you to find that calm, helping you to find that ease. I give you this routine. I say that, you know, start with this routine, because if we can start our day off with high energy and feeling really, really good, that is, sorry, I muted you for some reason, Lyra. That is probably the best way that we can do that. We can start off with, you know, feeling good, and then our day is much more likely to be in a high energy state, a much more positive state. So for you, maybe that's, you know, just planning your day so that you have 20 minutes here and there to spend time with your dogs, for example. I know you love your dogs, so that's a great. Animals are such a great way to relieve stress. Just touching this furry beast and realizing, hey, this dog is living in a way that is super calm, super zen. I got to live more like my dog. You know, that's meditation right there. That's a great way to do things. For me, I'll give you my examples. My day is structured so that I have 1.5 hour blocks of work and then 20-minute blocks of, you know, chill. And so,
can I just interrupt you?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Talk about mornings. Mornings are tough for me because I have insomnia. So
okay.
I wake up tired, already tired.
Okay.
It's tough in the morning. I have to wake up because of the dog, but it's very draining, you know.
Absolutely.
I was, before the pandemic, I got to start going to the gym at 7 a.m.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, it's before, after was walking the dog. I was walking the dogs at 6 a.m. and going to the gym at 7 and 8, and was working. I like to lift weights. I don't like cardio.
Yeah.
But with the pandemic, went to hell.
Right.
Then right now I really don't know what to do. You know, there was more stress.
Yeah.
And I don't have a routine and more insomnia and something like that. I know you are not a magician. I'm just asking you if you have anything.
Yeah. So yeah. So it sounds like, I mean, before you were going to the gym in the morning, and that was, you know, part of that routine of what probably maybe helped you get that energy for the day. Maybe building back up to a place where you are incorporating a regular fitness routine in the morning would be really, really beneficial for you. The other thing is I don't know how much research or practice or anything that you've done into kind of dealing with your insomnia, but that's something I'm happy to help you with. I mean, that might take a little bit more time, but I'm happy to sit down with you and chat with some strategies. Even, you know, even this, where is it? Even this little strategy right here, putting your phone away before bed, an hour before bed. This is something that's worked wonders for me. Personally, yeah, just to kind of get that blue light out of your face, out of your environment, and help your brain to kind of get into that place of, okay, I'm getting ready to be in a well-rested state. Very, very powerful. The other thing is I personally also meditate before bed, and then I sometimes take melatonin if I know that I've had a crazy day and my mind is all
that I didn't try yet.
Amped up. So those are a couple things to try. And let's see, somebody dropped something in the chat. Yeah, melatonin and magnesium, absolutely. Yeah, so those are things to try. And again, if you'd like, we can definitely chat together about some kind of like how you could develop a personalized strategy and just go from there.
Yeah, because I did that, the exercise in the morning, because I know that if I didn't do that, I can have mood swing at that day.
Right.
Then I procrastinate, and I can leave it for another hour, and another hour became another day, and I end up not doing.
And that's where that's why routine is so powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Anybody else have a question?
Zach, what about those of us who are anxiety eaters?
Oh, great question. So stress eating is a very big, very prominent here. I'm gonna mute you guys just for a second to kind of get rid of the feedback. But yeah, stress eating is super common. I mean, there are a lot of different ways to deal with it, and again, it's really up to you to figure out what a strategy that works for you. But I'll give you some things that you could give a shot to. I think meal planning is one of those great ways to kind of keep yourself in line with stress eating, just because once you have a plan, you have a structure to follow. It's a lot. You start to build up more accountability, right? You're starting to create more awareness around this habit that you have, because that's what it is. It's just a habit. It's just you kind of trying to give yourself some dopamine, essentially, just to kind of give yourself some pleasure. And that's why a lot of us fall back on food. I think food is probably the most common form of kind of impulsive stress management. And so what we have to recognize is that there are a million reasons why somebody might stress eat. Maybe it's maybe the impulse eating is from a place of, hey, my body needs this specific nutrient, but more often than not, it's I need that vibe increase, essentially, is what it is. And so when you can start to create this plan of hey, what makes me really feel good? What are my impulses that I'm trying to pursue to feel good? And starting to sort of swap those out a little bit, making more time for positive habits like exercise, positive habits like maybe journaling or meditating, or something that kind of helps your mind find ease, helps you find some calm and some balance and some comfort with where you are. The more that you're able to put yourself into that state, the less likely you're going to be to do things like stress eat. So it's kind of up to you to find those things. And again, routine is probably the biggest factor that's going to help with that. The more that you can build up on those positive habits, you're going to get closer and closer and closer to this place where you find, that comfort, that you don't feel these impulses to go and do things like, like impulse eat. For a lot of people, it's, smoke or checking your phone. Checking your phone is like a really, really common one. That's one that I'm frankly dealing with right now. It's like, how can I kind of push my phone away a little bit more? But they're all kind of coming from the same place of, I need some stimulation. I'm not comfortable with where I am right now. And so I want to shift myself into this higher energy state of being. And this is where identity shifting, which I talk about, I don't really talk about it here necessarily, but that's where identity shifting plays a huge role, because the more that you can shift yourself into this state of being of, hey, I'm really confident with who I am. I'm really, very happy with where I'm at in life, and putting yourself into that state of energy, you're far less likely to go and do things that are like impulse, like, hey, I just need to do this quick thing to feel better. You're far less likely to do that. So I know that was kind of a shotgun answer, but again, Herman, if you want to sit down and we can really work something out that, would really work for you, happy to do that. But does that kind of give you a decent answer to your question? I think I muted you for a second.
Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. How about you, Sarah B? Do you guys have any questions?
I don't think so. I guess
Okay.
and this is kind of cookie cutter question.
Okay.
But
sure. We'll take them.
Like I get such differing information.
Okay.
How, like, macro wise, what do you think about protein and also protein powder?
Oh yeah. Okay. Great question. I mean, this it is a cookie cutter question, but it's an important question. If and a lot of people have different theories on it, and so never hurts to ask it 1,000,000,001 times. My theory on protein is really that everything contains protein, and so generally most people don't really have to worry about it. Most people are getting enough protein. That shouldn't really be a concern for you if you're eating enough substantial foods. And by substantial foods, I just mean, complex carbs like rice, pasta, if, meals that have some like decent protein sources like tofu or seitan or something like that. But even those things are not all that important. Again, you can use the app, MyFitnessPal, that will tell you the breakdown of what they think that you should be eating. And if you are nervous, it doesn't hurt to follow their guidelines, because their guidelines are 100% legit. But for the most part, I don't feel like people need to worry that much about protein. So that would be my first part to the answer, is you don't really have to worry that much about protein. Two, if you are worried about protein, definitely use an app that will kind of give you those breakdowns and follow them, and they'll be good for you. And then otherwise, trying to incorporate just more substance into your diet, if that's a concern for you, is totally legit. And complex carbs are a great way to get your protein too. So you don't have to be like, oh, well, does pasta have protein? Does rice have protein? Do potatoes have protein? They totally do. And then, protein powder, if you are into fitness, taking a protein shake, ASAP after you work out is a great idea, because those proteins are typically a little bit easier to digest. And so your body can take that stuff on and have that energy source pretty much immediately after you work out. So that's a good way to go.